Hi there. Personally, about the Iran American-Israeli war, actually, what I do think about is simply because that I don't think, honestly, Iran would be defeated simply because even though the U.S., for example, bombed a lot of their, leaders, a lot of their generals, a lot of their officials, a lot of the hierarchy, in a way, they would just actually easily replace them. That's the way to go for them. What do you think would happen? And even if, for example, they bombed a lot of sites of missiles and drones and other things like that, and defensive, outposts, radars, and other things, telecommunication systems, understand that Iran could easily replace them within max 1 to 3 years. Okay, they have the technology to actually manufacture these things and this gear, and they also have the allies like China could easily give them all the actual basic components for them to actually rebuild the whole arsenal they have. In reality, it's more like a waste of time to bomb them and to try to mess with them. You're gonna spend what, 50 to 80 billion dollars on a campaign like this, more than 15 soldiers, around 15 soldiers killed, and a lot of other soldiers got injured, a lot of material, insane amount of material that got completely destroyed that you will have to be replacing with billions of dollars, and all of this mess. And at the end of the day, you're gonna just actually prove that Iran is strong and give a signal to anybody in the future that will try to mess with them that it's a very nasty and not interesting idea to do that at all. And at the end of the day, there is a high chance Iran would just get the nuke in a way. The truth is to be actually prepared to face this reality with Iran having a nuclear weapon. Even though personally I highly doubt they would ever use it against anyone, they would probably use it more like a pressure tool than anything else. But still, you will have to get to the idea that they would at some point. There is high chances they would get a nuclear weapon. They have what it takes to get it. They have the knowledge, they have the engineering capacity, and they have also the money for that. And also they have the allies. They could easily ask for their allies like North Korea, for example, to give them all the extra necessary they would need, even though they actually have all what it takes to get it. Simple. Meaning the best option here is to try in a way to probably, in a way, the best option here that could be looking like would be kind of the Obama deal. At least back then they didn't really try to enrich further the material. In a way, at least that's what kind of they say. Honestly, to trust them, that's another thing. But you get the idea. It would be very, very delicate. Even with the ground invasion, even if, for example, the Americans tried ground invasion on mainly Karg Island, for example, to try to take it over, it would be very delicate to sustain the takeover of that island, because Iran would try to retaliate. And even if the US would destroy the majority of what they would have, for example, defenses on the coastline, it would still be very delicate to maintain it, because Iran would just replenish the defenses. They would launch multiple campaigns again and again, and this would take probably days and weeks, and this will get to the oil prices going even higher, and this would actually pressure even Republicans more for the upcoming midterms elections. And this could literally be one of the reasons they might lose the midterms elections in favor for it would go actually in favor of Democrats, and this would be a big headache, a big mess for the Republicans, because the Democrats, there is high chances they would try to block in a way, they would try to push for all kinds of laws to actually reduce the power capacities of Trump. Also probably try to indict him, try to impeach him. They would try to do all kinds of things to actually try to reduce his powers and try to even at the level of immigration. Imagine they would lose the midterms elections. The Democrats would have way more power to actually pressure Trump on all levels. And this would actually be a big mess. Meaning Trump has all interest in trying to get something out of this war, trying to reduce it as much as possible, and probably at the end of the day, there is high chances he will come back and go back to the original deal, probably just modify it a little bit, but that's mainly what he could hope to get the best here. Except that the only way he will get something out of this is a full ground invasion, and even then it would be a big mess. Why? Iranians, the majority of them, will be fighting back. It would take not months, probably years to fight them all. It would be millions of people would die, not billions but trillions of dollars of American taxpayers' money going into a war with Iran. And at the end of the day, there is high chances at some point you're gonna need to get out of that country. And after you get out, there is high chances they will just go back to what they're doing, because this is not just like Venezuela. You just take out the leader and it's over. No, Iran isn't working this way. Iran will always fight back. You're just wasting your time. This is why at the end of the day, there is high chances Trump will just go back at the nuclear proposal they had already with probably, the Democrat with Democrats. They had before with Democrats, if you see what I mean. And the question here is, it's very, very delicate to keep on going like this, because this will only bring problems, more and more problems, with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And personally, I think Iran has high chances at some point, if they wanted to develop nuke, to actually develop it and get it. Meaning you will have to be very well prepared to actually face the post-nuclear Iran. Okay, because I'm pretty sure at some point they will get, even if you try to do all kinds of shit. The only thing that will at this moment try to stop them, because they already almost bombed everything they wanted to bomb, but still understand that Iran has the majority of their missiles and drones are hiding in underground bunkers. Meaning, in reality, the majority of this arsenal hasn't even probably been touched, probably more than 50% of it. And it would be very easy for them to replenish it. They are not just buying material, they are literally manufacturing. When you manufacture, it's very easy for you to make it back. It's not like Iraq or Venezuela, they only buy, they don't manufacture. That's the big difference when you fight developed country, medium, I would call it medium developed country, and non-developed countries. It's a big difference, because they are the non-developed countries are dependent from outsiders like Russia, China, and other suppliers. But the ones that produce themselves, they have already the capacity to make their own weapons, meaning their own approaches. They don't rely necessarily on others and beg them for weapons. That's not how it works. And also, the majority of these countries that would help them would barely give them anything interesting to use, like very, mediocre material, mediocre weapons. Let's be real. They will not give you the best of their weapons. Of course not. Like China, for example, they will not give you their best weapons, or even Russia or China, like I just said. Meaning, when you manufacture your own, and they are pretty good in a way, and Iranians have pretty good weapons, not necessarily the best, but they have pretty good weapons, enough to fight back, and that's actually more than enough. On top of that, with the oil Strait of Hormuz, of blocking it, almost all the time, and pressuring the American, government, it's a big mess. And even if they didn't have the Strait of Hormuz, it would still be a huge mess to fight them back, because they have enough weapons to fight back, and they have a resilient population, a resilient government. Then even if you pressure them, and they did actually have been pressured for decades, but they still didn't curb. They still fought back, and they got in a way what they wanted. And at the end of the day, this war is a loss for the US. You want it or not, that's the truth. And the best way for Trump, if he doesn't want to escalate it for probably months, if not years of war that would kill millions, spend trillions of dollars, and probably kill thousands of American soldiers, the best option probably to get out of this is to try to get a proposal, like probably the ones that Democrats did, and try to ensure it in a way. It's delicate, true, but this might be actually the best way. And even if they try to invade Kharg Island, I don't think they would get anywhere with it. They already did block the strait for the Iranian petrol to actually get out of it and sell it. In reality, you might not necessarily need to take over the island, the Kharg Island. Why? Because you can easily just block the passage of their ships from to get out. It's almost the same thing at the end of the day, okay? And they just did that, and Iranians didn't budge. They just stayed there. It's like they kind of barely cared about it. It is true, it does pressure their economy a lot, but at the end of the day, they show a huge amount of resilience, and this is a big point for them in a way. I mean, at the end of the day, there is two main options. It's either total war with them. It would take trillions of dollars, thousands of Americans' death of their military, and of course, probably millions of Iranians would die. And this could take probably months, if not years, to achieve anything. And even there, you would get out of the country, and there is high chances they would just go back at it, because retaining the country under your military, occupation, if you want to call it, would be insanely messed up, insanely costly at all levels. The second option is peace and try to get a proposal. Anyway, we're gonna see what they will do. Thank you very much.